You've been searching for your place in this world, haven't you? Looking for that sense of importance, that feeling of being valued and respected. You've tried to prove yourself through achievements, through gaining recognition, through collecting accomplishments like trophies on a shelf. But here's what the ancient Stoics understood that you're about to discover. True importance doesn't come from what others think of you. It radiates from within, from the unshakable foundation of who you choose to be every single day. Think about this for a moment. How much of your energy have you spent trying to impress others? How many sleepless nights have you endured worrying about what people might say or think? You've been playing a game where the rules constantly change, where the goalpost keeps moving, where no amount of external validation ever feels like enough. The Stoics call this a fool's errand, and they're right. You cannot control what others think or feel about you. You cannot dictate their opinions, their judgments, or their recognition. What you can control is far more powerful: your own thoughts, your own actions, your own character. This is the fundamental principle that will transform your life. When you stop chasing external validation and start building internal worth, you become unstoppable. You see, when your sense of importance depends on others, you're like a leaf in the wind, blown in whatever direction the current opinion takes you. But when you root your importance in your own values, in your own principles, in your own virtuous actions, you become like a mountain, immovable, majestic, and commanding respect, not because you demand it, but because you embody it. Let's talk about what's actually in your control. Your thoughts, you choose them. Your reactions, you decide them. Your effort, you determine it. Your integrity, you maintain it. Your kindness, you express it. Your wisdom, you cultivate it. These are your tools, your weapons, your building blocks. Every time you choose virtue over vice, every time you choose principle over convenience, every time you choose growth over comfort, you're adding another stone to the fortress of your character. Self-respect isn't something you can fake or fast-track. It's earned through thousands of small decisions where you choose to honor yourself. When you keep a promise to yourself, even when no one's watching, that's self-respect. When you maintain your standards even when it would be easier to lower them, that's self-respect. When you speak your truth even when your voice shakes, that's self-respect. And here's the beautiful paradox: the more you respect yourself, the less you need others to validate you, and yet the more they naturally will. You've probably noticed how some people command attention without seeking it, how they carry themselves with a quiet confidence that draws others in. They're not trying to prove anything because they've already proven everything that matters to themselves. They've broken free from the exhausting cycle of people-pleasing and approval-seeking. They understand that when you need everyone to like you, you stand for nothing. But when you stand for something, the right people will respect you, and more importantly, you'll respect yourself. Breaking free from the need for others' approval is like removing invisible chains you didn't even know you were wearing. Suddenly, you can move freely, think clearly, and act authentically. You stop filtering every decision through the lens of "what will they think?" and start asking, "what's the right thing to do?" You stop dimming your light to make others comfortable and start shining at your full brightness. You stop apologizing for taking up space and start occupying it with purpose and dignity. This freedom doesn't mean you become arrogant or dismissive of others. Quite the opposite. When you're secure in your own worth, you can be genuinely kind without being a doormat. You can be helpful without being a people-pleaser. You can be compassionate without losing yourself in others' needs. You can disagree without being disagreeable. You can stand firm without being rigid. This is the balance that true importance requires. Building character through consistent virtuous actions is like training for a marathon. You don't become a runner by thinking about running or by running once. You become a runner by running regularly, by showing up even when you don't feel like it, by pushing through when it gets hard. Similarly, you don't build character through grand gestures or momentary inspirations. You build it through daily choices, through small acts of courage, through quiet moments of integrity. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice. You can chase the fleeting high of external validation, or you can invest in the lasting satisfaction of internal worth. You can worry about your reputation, or you can focus on your character. You can lower yourself to meet others' expectations, or you can raise your standards and invite others to meet you there. The choice is yours, and it's the most important choice you'll make today. Remember this: you are not important because others say you are. You are important because you choose to live with virtue, with purpose, with integrity. You are important because you contribute value to the world through your actions. You are important because you refuse to compromise your principles for temporary gain. You are important because you understand that true worth comes from within, and you cultivate it daily through your choices, your efforts, and your unwavering commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. This is your foundation. This is where your journey to reclaiming your importance begins. Not in the opinions of others, but in the depths of your own character. Not in external achievements, but in internal development. Not in lowering yourself to fit in, but in standing tall in who you are. The Stoics knew this truth thousands of years ago, and now you know it too. The question is, what will you do with it? Now that you understand where true importance comes from, let's talk about how you protect it. You see, building your foundation is only the beginning. The real test comes when life throws its inevitable challenges your way, when the pressure mounts, when the temptation whispers, when everyone around you is taking the easy path. That's when your principles either become your strength or reveal themselves as mere words. You've felt it before, haven't you? That moment when maintaining your standards seems too hard, too costly, too inconvenient. Maybe it was in a business deal where cutting corners would have meant easy profit. Maybe it was in a relationship where speaking your truth risked losing someone you cared about. Maybe it was in a social situation where going along with the crowd would have made you popular. In those moments, you faced a choice that defined not just your actions, but your very essence. Here's what you need to understand. Every time you lower your standards to match your circumstances, you chip away at your self-importance. It's like selling pieces of your soul for temporary comfort. You might gain something in the moment, money, approval, ease, but you lose something far more valuable, your respect for yourself. And once that's gone, no amount of external success can fill that void. Think about the last time you compromised your values. How did it feel afterward? That hollow sensation in your chest, that nagging voice in your head, that inability to look yourself in the mirror with pride, these are the costs of abandoning your principles. You told yourself it was just this once, just a small thing, just what everyone does, but deep down you knew better. You knew that you had betrayed the most important person in your life, yourself. The compromise of values is insidious because it rarely happens all at once. It's a gradual erosion, like water wearing away stone. First you bend a little, then a little more. Before you know it, you're so far from who you wanted to be that you don't even recognize yourself anymore. You've traded your self-importance for temporary gains, and now you're left wondering why you feel so empty despite having what you thought you wanted. But here's the empowering truth. You can stop this erosion right now. You can draw a line in the sand and say, no more. You can decide that from this moment forward, your principles are non-negotiable. This doesn't mean being inflexible or unable to adapt. It means being clear about what truly matters to you and refusing to sacrifice those core values for anything or anyone. Developing mental fortitude isn't about becoming hard or unfeeling. It's about becoming resilient, like a tree that bends in the storm but doesn't break. Daily Stoic practices are your training ground for this resilience. When you start each day with reflection, asking yourself what challenges you might face and how you'll respond with virtue, you're preparing your mind for battle. When you end each day by examining your actions, celebrating where you stayed true and learning from where you faltered, you're building wisdom. Practice the discipline of perception, seeing things as they truly are, not as your fears or desires paint them. When someone criticizes you, don't immediately react with anger or hurt. Pause. Examine whether there's truth in their words that can help you grow, or whether it's simply their opinion that has no bearing on your worth. Practice the discipline of action, doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, regardless of how you feel about it. Practice the discipline of will, accepting what you cannot change while giving your all to what you can. These practices might seem simple, but their power lies in their consistency. Just as a warrior doesn't wait until battle to learn how to use their sword, you don't wait until crisis to develop mental strength. You build it daily, in small moments, in quiet victories that no one else sees but that forge your character in ways that everyone will eventually notice. The dignity that comes from aligned thoughts and actions is unmistakable. When what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony, you move through the world with a grace that commands respect. There's no internal conflict eating away at your energy. There's no need to remember which version of yourself you showed to which person. There's no anxiety about being found out because there's nothing to hide. This alignment creates a powerful presence. People sense it when they're around you. They feel the solidness of someone who knows who they are and isn't afraid to be it. They respect the person who says no when everyone else says yes, if that no comes from principle. They admire the person who stands alone when standing alone is right. They trust the person whose words and actions match, even when it costs them something. Creating boundaries that protect your inner peace isn't about building walls that keep everyone out. It's about being intentional about what you allow into your life. You wouldn't let someone dump garbage in your living room, so why do you let them dump negativity in your mind? You wouldn't eat poison just because someone offered it to you, so why do you consume toxic behaviors and attitudes? Your boundaries are declarations of what you will and won't accept. They're not angry or aggressive, they're calm and clear. I don't engage in gossip. I don't compromise my integrity for profit. I don't allow disrespect in my relationships. These aren't limitations, they're liberations. They free you from the exhausting work of managing situations that shouldn't exist in your life in the first place. When you create, your life becomes populated with individuals who share your values, who support your growth, who celebrate your principles rather than trying to corrupt them. Your inner circle becomes a source of strength rather than a drain on your energy. Standing firm in your principles isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. Every time you choose your standards over convenience, you build your importance. Every time you maintain your values despite pressure, you strengthen your character. Every time you protect your inner peace through boundaries, you increase your power. This is how you become someone who doesn't just talk about principles, but lives them. This is how you become truly important, not because others say so, but because you've earned it through unwavering commitment to being who you say you are. You've built your foundation on inner worth. You've learned to stand firm in your principles. Now comes the final transformation, rising to your full importance through wisdom and purpose. This is where everything you've learned crystallizes into a life of such meaning and impact that your importance becomes undeniable, not just to yourself, but to the world around you. Every setback you faced, every failure that knocked you down, every disappointment that made you question everything, these weren't punishments or signs that you weren't meant for greatness. They were your teachers disguised as adversity. The Stoics understood something profound. The obstacle is the way. The promotion you didn't get taught you what skills you needed to develop. That relationship that ended showed you what boundaries you needed to establish. That business that failed revealed what knowledge you lacked. Each setback was actually a setup for your next level of growth. You have a choice in how you view the challenges in your life. You can see them as evidence that the universe is against you, that you're unlucky, that you're not important enough to succeed. Or you can see them as the universe's way of preparing you for something greater. When a blacksmith forges a sword, he doesn't gently caress the metal. He beats it with a hammer, heats it in fire, plunges it into cold water. The metal might cry out if it could, wondering why it's being subjected to such treatment. But the blacksmith knows that this process is creating something strong, sharp, and valuable. You are that metal, and life is your blacksmith. Every blow that lands on you has the potential to shape you into something stronger. But here's the key: you must participate in your own forging. You must see each obstacle not as something to endure, but as something to use. When faced with a difficult person, you develop patience. When faced with loss, you develop appreciation. When faced with injustice, you develop courage. When faced with failure, you develop resilience. This is how you transform setbacks into stepping stones. The Stoic view of obstacles as opportunities for excellence isn't toxic positivity or denial of pain. Excellence isn't achieved in comfort, it's forged in challenge. The athlete doesn't become strong by lifting light weights. The scholar doesn't become wise by reading easy books. And you don't become important by avoiding difficulties. But wisdom and purpose aren't just about overcoming obstacles. They're about understanding your place in the larger tapestry of existence. You have something unique to contribute to the greater good, a combination of talents, experiences, perspectives, and passions that no one else possesses. Your importance isn't just about your individual achievement, it's about what you give to the world. Finding your unique contribution requires deep self-knowledge and honest assessment. What problems do you naturally see solutions to? What suffering have you experienced that you can help others navigate? What skills come so easily to you that you forget others struggle with them? What injustices make your blood boil and your heart ache? The intersection of your abilities and the world's needs, that's where your purpose lives. When you align your life with this purpose, something magical happens. Work stops feeling like work because you're doing what you're meant to do. Obstacles stop feeling insurmountable because you're motivated by something larger than yourself. Critics stop mattering because you're not performing for applause, you're serving a mission. This is when you become truly important, not because you're trying to be, but because you're fulfilling your role in the greater good. Wisdom elevates you above petty concerns because it gives you perspective. When you understand the shortness of life, you stop wasting time on grudges. When you recognize the universality of human struggle, you stop taking things personally. When you see the bigger picture, you stop getting caught up in small dramas. The gossip that used to consume your attention now seems childish. The status symbols that used to drive your decisions now seem empty. The opinions that used to control your actions now seem irrelevant. This elevation isn't arrogance, it's clarity. You're not looking down on others, you're looking beyond the immediate to see what truly matters. You understand that the person who cut you off in traffic might be rushing to a hospital. You realize that the colleague who undermined you is probably fighting their own battles with insecurity. You see that the friend who betrayed you was likely betraying themselves first. This wisdom doesn't make you a doormat, you still maintain your boundaries, but it frees you from the prison of resentment and reactivity. Becoming indispensable through virtue and competence is the culmination of your journey. When you combine unwavering character with exceptional skill, you become someone the world cannot ignore. But here's the paradox. The truly indispensable person doesn't try to be indispensable. They simply focus on being excellent, on serving others, on solving problems, on creating value. Their importance is a byproduct of their commitment to virtue and mastery. You become indispensable not by making yourself necessary through manipulation or creating dependencies, but by being so valuable that your absence would be genuinely felt. The person who always tells the truth becomes indispensable in a world full of deception. The person who remains calm becomes indispensable in chaos. The person who takes responsibility becomes indispensable among excuse makers. The person who solves problems becomes indispensable among complainers. This is your destiny if you choose to accept it. Not to be important in the shallow way the world often defines it through fame, wealth, or power over others, but to be important in the way that matters through service, wisdom, virtue, and the positive impact you have on everyone whose life you touch. You don't need to lower yourself to fit into spaces too small for your spirit. You don't need to compromise your values for temporary gains. You don't need to seek validation from those who don't understand your worth. You are already important. The question is whether you'll live up to that importance, whether you'll do the work to manifest it, whether you'll have the courage to be who you're meant to be. The Stoics have shown you the way. Your inner worth is your foundation. Your principles are your protection. Your wisdom and purpose are your wings. Now rise. Rise to the importance that has always been yours to claim. Rise to the life that's waiting for you to live it. Rise to become the person you know, deep in your soul, you were meant to be. The world needs what you have to offer. Your importance isn't just about you, it's about everyone whose life will be better because you decided to stop playing small. This is your moment. This is your choice. This is your time to become important again, not in the eyes of others, but in the truth of your own existence. The question isn't whether you can do it. The question is whether you will. And something tells me, after everything you've learned, after everything you've understood, after everything you felt while reading this, you already know the answer.